Hey guys, I thought I would just bring you along this adventure with me about replacing the window seal on my Piper Cherokee window, the little guy right here. It's got a really thin seal around it. It's kind of made of just like the neoprene rubber type material. Really kind of inexpensive, and it's a good thing to do because I was getting quite a bit of air coming in, and since it's the winter, it's cold. And also blocks out the noise too. So really, I think I spent 20 bucks for this. This is an approved item for my aircraft. It comes with all the paperwork and whatnot, and it's interesting how you put these on. You really want to take your time. I've been here for a little while, and the first step is to take one of these cheap plastic, what are these things, putty knives, I guess? Yeah, and go around and pretty much scrape up as much as you can. Second step to this is once you get down to about this level with the putty knife, you're still going to have adhesive in here, and as you can see, little bits of the old seal that are still hanging around. And what you want to do is get googone. The googone with the black lid, it's the extra strength googone. It doesn't really mess with these acrylic type windows, so that's good. Doesn't like dissolve them or anything, but just soak it in there and then use just any type of cloth to get this stuff out. What I did was, just to protect everything, I put one of those really inexpensive drop cloths, just the plastic drop cloths, and kind of tucked it in there just in case if the googone kind of dropped out, it wouldn't get on anything. But be careful with the googone. If you get the metal container one, it is totally full and it will go everywhere, so I recommend putting it on a cloth. I was just using these guys here, these window wipes. You can really use anything. To put it on the cloth first, and then kind of go over it and over it and over it until you get down to here. And then just kind of clean it up with this, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm kind of at that stage, so I'm going to try to scrape up the rest of it. It also allows it time to dry, and then as you can see, this stuff has a self-adhesion type thing. So there's a little trick with this too, which is interesting. So what I'm going to do is finish scraping this off. Nothing too fun to see there. And then we will get to that step. All right, I scraped, and that's what I got. And of course, you can alternate between the putty knife scraping and then also using the googone. But to be completely honest with you, I'm not too worried about this. Especially because this is good stuff. It'll set in, and yeah, I think I've got it pretty good and clear. If those out there are a little bit more particular, by all means, just keep going down, and you'll be able to get all the way down to the plastic. Yeah. So this is not rocket science. Basically, the gist is that you take the pin out, of course, unravel it, and then start laying it in, going all the way around the perimeter here. And what you're going to do is you're going to have a little bit left, and I'm going to put the remainder, so the little meeting point between the two ends, right here. I like it here. I don't know, it's just a preference I have. So I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to kind of bond those two ends together. This is kind of a particularly important part here, with a little bit, just a little bit of super glue. So what I'm going to do, get to that point, and then show you from there. Okay, so I'm to that point, and before we do the cut here, or at least show you where I'm going to do the cut, I thought of another thing real quick. You want to take your time with this. Seriously, take your time. There's a few reasons. Number one, you want it to look good. Number two, you want to make sure it's got a good seal in especially the corners there, it lies flat. Another reason is because the adhesive on this is super tacky, and if you make a mistake, it's kind of hard to get it off without actually ripping the foam. So take your time. Make sure it lays flat up against the edge there, and you will be just fine. So if you just go very slow and take off a little bit more at a time, go you know, don't rip this entire backing off, because it's going to stick to everything and you're going to have a bad day. So I'm to this point, and what I'm going to do is literally cut maybe just the smallest overlap. Maybe just 1/30 seconds. I mean, we're talking super small overlap. And then I am going to marry the two together and show you the finished product, and we will be done. So I put the super glue right in there, and I'm going to give it time to dry so it doesn't super glue my window shut. That would be horrible, and then you have a piece of rubber. But anyway, the very last thing that you do in this whole installation thing is you use this little bit of grease lubricant that comes with it, and a little bit goes a far way. So make sure you, again, take your time, wear gloves because you don't want this junk on you, and just ever so gently massage this grease lubricant stuff into the foam. It does a few things. It makes the foam last longer. As you can see with my old stuff, it becomes real brittle and nasty. That's because it wasn't lubricated correctly. So really, any time that you do maybe like a 100-hour annual on your aircraft, it's a good thing to do to just get a little bit of this stuff. It can be any type of grease, really. It's not that big of a deal. And just kind of massage a thin layer in there so it's nice and pliable. So there's my dot. It should stick together. I'm going to give it enough time to dry and cure. I'm going to massage this little grease in there. I don't know why they give you so much. I mean, you're only using a very small fraction of the stuff. And then after I do that, I'm just going to close it up, wait for at least about 24 hours or so. The longer that you keep this sealed up, the better the seal will actually form. It'll kind of create a memory type effect on here, so every time you open it, you'll see where it's taken the shape of the seal. It's really quite nice. So that way cold air will stop hitting you unless you actually open it. No bugs will come in, so that's a plus. And it just looks better, to be completely honest with you. So I'm going to make my logbook entry. All I need to do is cut this out, put it in my logbook, write an entry in there that I installed it. You should be good to go after that. So be safe out there, take your time, see you.